I was on the road this weekend and I ended up finding a really good comic book shop along the way. Stay tuned to find out what I picked up. Welcome back, comic book fans. This is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and today I've got a comic book haul from a road trip that I just went on over the weekend, and I found a really cool comic book shop that I stopped at, and surprisingly I found a lot of comics. I didn't expect to buy this many, but it was a great haul. I think you guys are going to enjoy the footage from the store that I shot, and you're going to enjoy the books that I picked up. So let me introduce you to the shop. It is Telegraph Art and Comics from Charlottesville, Virginia. Now they have two locations from what I understand. This is the Uptown location. And it's funny, I've been down to Charlottesville so many times over the last 10 to 15 years, going to UVA baseball games and going down and enjoying Charlottesville. My mother was in the hospital there when she was going through cancer treatments, and I spent so much time down there, and I think I even actually saw where this shop was at one point, but I wasn't really going to shops 10 years ago. There have been a few here and there, but it was just on an occasion when I would stop at a comic book shop. And I ended up finding this store. I did a search, and I've already kind of exhausted the stores in Roanoke and Salem, Virginia, and I was looking as I was traveling this weekend, as I was heading back to Maryland, looking for another shop to stop at and to spotlight, to give them an opportunity to shine, hopefully. You never know, it's really just an exploration here. So I ended up going on Google, and it came down to, was I going to go to Roanoke again and visit one of the shops I've done videos on before, or do I go up to Winchester, Virginia? There's a shop up there that I tried to stop out here a month or so ago, and it turns out they're closed on Sundays. So that didn't happen. They were open today, the day that I'm filming this, but it's... Then I kind of went the other direction. Let's go through Charlottesville. Let's go out I-64 and let's stop there. And trust me, you don't have to worry about me going through Charlottesville, because I can always stop at Raising Cane's and pick up some chicken fingers there. So lunch was really good today, but then I hit the comic book shop, and I was really shocked about how good this really was. So sit back in a moment and you'll watch the video. I took some footage in the store, and I picked up some comics, and I think you'll enjoy all of that. But before we get into the store footage, make sure you hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and definitely hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on great comic book content like this each and every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. Now, sit back, enjoy the footage, and I'll talk to you in a minute. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that footage from the store. The guys that were there were really nice. I ended up going through the shop and really looking at everything. It was so much stuff there to look at. And usually I'll go in and I'll look just a moment and then I'll talk to the shop owners or the managers and I'll say, hey, I've got a YouTube show. Do you mind if I do some footage in here? And so it usually helps me look around the store, but man, there was so much eye candy everywhere that I just got right into it and started looking, and all of a sudden I'm digging through books and I'm looking on the wall and well, I will tell you this, the wall is what got me interested in going to the shop to begin with, as I did a search, as I was talking about earlier in the video, for a shop to go to. Seeing photos of their shop and seeing the tons of wall books that they had up gave me the push to go to this shop. And they ended up having some pretty nice wall books. They weren't super big keys necessarily. There was definitely some stuff in there, but I will just say this, it wasn't a lot that was on my list of things that I was really kind of interested in and all. And I took a look at that, and then I started looking around the shop, and they've got so many great things to look at. But then I realized I actually need to go find some books for this upcoming Alex Ross signing, and I'm still looking for that Marvel Spider-Man issue. I've got one, like I said before in one of the other videos, but I'm looking for another copy just so I can see if the same defect is there, or if it has that same ripple. There's a little bit of a ripple on the cover, not the acetate, but the cover itself. And I've been looking for another copy of that, and I couldn't find one at the show, the Frederick Comic Con that I went to in the last video. But I did find the Marvel section. That's what I was looking for. As I was going through all of those long boxes and cabinets. I mean, their system for putting back issues out was really good. They had cabinets everywhere, and the way it worked was each section went down and then back up again. So it was funny, the Fantastic Four, if you were looking for Fantastic Four, it was all 100% in the drawers. It wasn't even on top. You couldn't even go through it. But instincts took over. When I wasn't finding the big giant keys that I necessarily was wanting to get, the secondary project right now is get some of these books in for the Alex Ross signing and some of the other signings that's going on down at CGC over the next month, as well as some of the comic shows that are coming up. And so I started going through some of the bins, and I'm like, wow, these prices are actually pretty good. So let me just start with the books. And I'm not going to give you values on things pretty much, but I'm going to tell you a lot of these books were anywhere from $1 to $3. Now, some of them I paid $5 and some of them I paid $15 for, and it kind of added up in the end. But I ended up with this really good selection of books for the signings. I ended up reverting back and getting a couple books that I know that I can clean and press and sell if I can get that 9.8. And so I found good candidates on that as well. And I know that for a fact because I've recently just sold a couple of the ones that I picked up again. And then I found a couple of really, the reader copies, but they were so cheap that I went ahead and picked it up anyway, just to have it in my collection. I'm not going to get them graded, but it's so cool to have, and I'll show you those at the end. But let's just start with the books that I found. And what was I talking about? I was talking about Marvels, and they didn't have the Spider-Man issue, but they had all the other Marvel's books, 1, 2, 3. But I ended up getting another number 1 because the one I have has some speckling on the acetate in this black area right there. And I wanted to get a better copy of that, but I'm still not going to consider this one to go into CGC. I just wanted to replace that one in my PC. The second books that I'm interested in, and I've got a couple copies of this, is from Kingdom Come, and it's issue 1 that I want to send in, and I think I've already got a good copy from I picked up at Frederick Comic Con already last weekend, but in the last episode. But I went ahead and picked up another copy, and the reason I didn't mind it, it's got a sticker price of $5. It was not a big deal. But they also had they had the other 3 issues, but I ended up getting issue number 4 because I can't find it. I don't know where it is. I knew I had this. I read this whole story, but I couldn't find it. And I'm wondering if it's in one of my signed boxes. I have a feeling I've got this. I know I got at least issue 1, I think, signed by Mark Waid years ago at Baltimore Comic-Con. So I may have had that a signed copy someplace. But I went ahead and picked up another issue number 4 here just so I could have it in the PC. But so as you can see, I was on the path right now for Alex Ross. So what's some of the other things that I was thinking about for Alex Ross? Well, I was thinking about, what was I thinking about? Oh my God, I'm completely losing my train of thought. I was going to say Catwoman, but that's Adam Hughes. We'll get to Adam Hughes. But I was thinking, so when I thought about Catwoman, I actually thought about, wait a minute, what about the Justice League and things like that? So I ended up finding some Justice Society of America. I'm sorry, I should have said Justice Society, not Justice League. JSA, Justice Society. And so I ended up finding a batch of these, and these were 99 cents. So I didn't mind picking any of these up. This is the cover run he made. I'm not sure how many issues he did. I ended up picking up this cover. What is this? It's the granddaughter of the original Red Tornado, I believe. They had issue number 10. Beautiful Superman cover right there. 11 had a great team shot right there. And those were all 99 cents. And then I ended up picking up a couple more copies of issue number 9 with Power Girl. And that one was only $3 each. And to have a couple of these, it's on the bubble whether I want to send this particular copy down to CGC. But with a black cover like that, I wanted a couple options just in case one of them had any of them had defects with the black cover. So for $3 on both of those right there, I didn't mind spending that. So I thought that pretty much covered Alex Ross pretty good. I think I've got enough books at this point to choose from. From last episode, picking up some things from the Baltimore Comic-Con, the Frederick Comic-Con, and then on the way back to Maryland, stopping at the store, I picked up those. But there were other artists that are down at and writers down at CGC right now, and I've got a small window if I really want to do this, but I ended up finding a couple copies, really nice copies of Elektra Assassin number 1. This is by Frank Miller and Bill Sienkiewicz. Now, you guys know, and if you've followed me at all, you know that I got a bunch of books back signed by Frank Miller at the Baltimore Comic-Con from last year. Elektra number 1 was one of those. And the reason I wanted to get that signed was because I plan on taking that slab, and I got my 9/8, by the way. I'm taking that slab with me to Charlotte so I can have Bill Sienkiewicz sign it as well. I'm going to have it broken open down there, and then we're going to regrade it, get it signed, regrade it, hopefully retain that 9.8. And then I started thinking about, wow, I'm really taking a chance here. What about if for I think $3 a piece, I picked up 2 really nice copies here. Maybe if I can get those in this week, maybe I can send those down to CGC for Frank Miller to sign, get 2 more of these, and take those with me. If I can get them back and hopefully get 9/8 on those, I can take those with me as well. And it wouldn't mind, mostly because I think that would be really cool to get both the artists, the creators on this to sign, but it'd also be one where I would definitely hold on to one of those, but I'd be willing to sell the other 2 depending on the grades. Well, actually, not depending on the grades. I'm going to keep my 198. Hopefully, there is a 198 in there. But that's one of those things where I don't mind spending a little bit of extra to get an extra Frank Miller and a Bill Sienkiewicz to do this, and then be able to turn around and sell one of these to help pay for some of the hobby here. Of course, pay for all those signings too. But so I found those, and then I ended up, I mentioned Adam Hughes earlier, and I was looking for some of the Catwoman covers that he did, and I just couldn't find any of the ones I really liked. They did have some really nice Wonder Woman covers that he did, and I was about ready to pick up 1 or 2 of those, but I realized Am I really going to send that one down? In fact, one of the ones I found was one with the Nazi cover, and I love that cover. I love the staging, the way it's angled, and I've already got it signed in a raw. Do I want to get another one? Do I want to get this graded? Is this what the book I really want from Adam Hughes to get signed and graded? And I'm like, no, I don't need that. But I was also considering, I'm going through the shop and I'm going through all these bins and I'm going back and forth and I'm finding all kinds of things. In fact, I think I only scratched the surface of what's down there. I think I could have spent a lot more time. I'm going to look forward to going back to this shop because they've got so many great things, and it isn't just modern books, and they've got good runs of a lot of books. Now, they don't have a lot. I didn't see a lot of Silver Age books, but you know what? There were other things in there, and we'll get to that too again at the end of the video. But as I said, Adam Hughes was on my mind, but when I didn't find anything, I put it out of my mind, but I'm going through stuff, and I'm going through a lot of the X-Men books, and I ended up picking up an X-Men book here. I'll show you in a minute. But what was right next to it was the classic X-Men, and because Art Adams is going to be at one of the shows, I can't remember if it's Heroes Con or Baltimore Comic Con. Art Adams is going to be there, and what do I want Art Adams to sign? I want him to sign Classic X-Men #1, and they had a copy of that, but it was not very good. But I'm thumbing through that, and I stumbled on issue number 79, which has this great Adam Hughes Dark Phoenix cover. Now, again, this is probably not something I'm going to send down to CGC, but I know I didn't have this in my collection, but that's a really nice Adam Hughes cover. And the only other one I ended up picking up today that was for a signing. Now, this one isn't a CGC, but Steve Rude's going to be at one of these two cons as well. Again, I don't know which one it is, but I wanted to be prepared. And I've got this issue. It's buried in a lot of the new issues that I haven't organized. And I picked up Detective Comics 1000 with this beautiful Steve Rude cover. And it's one of those illustrations that's just so great that I would love to have him to sign this, because I've got a bunch of his Nexus books signed, but he has done so many great other illustrations that this was really dynamic. In fact, when they put this issue out and they had all those variant covers, this is the one I bought. I didn't buy hardly any of the other ones. I bought this one. But that's for a future project down the road and everything. So those were the books that I ended up picking up for the special projects, for all the signings. But again, I'm literally bouncing back and forth between the bins. I'm thinking, oh yeah, let's go through the Daredevils. Oh yeah. Let's go through Defenders. Oh, let's check the Hulk out and see if they got any good issues there. And I wasn't finding a lot of stuff that I really needed. But every time I go through something, I would remember something else, and I was bouncing back and forth. They probably getting a laugh at me going around, and all of a sudden I'm realizing this stack is growing higher and higher. So let me just go through. I ended up finding a handful of books that I know have some good value, and they're good for the PC, and they're good to get graded. If you can get that high grade, 9.8s on most of these, you can do pretty good. 9.6 is probably a little bit as well, but definitely 9.8s you would be okay on. You probably won't be surprised to see this issue if I find a good grade on this. I mean, a good copy. I'm picking it up. This is X-Men number 213, the Alan Davis cover and illustrations, Chris Claremont, the first cover appearance of Sabretooth and Wolverine together. Love the storyline, and this is a book that I keep picking up, and it was only $16, but the spine looks really good on that. I'm hoping that the backside with that dark cover will be just as good. Even if it's not, it's going to be a good copy to have, and I can probably end up selling that as a raw at some point. I've got so many of these now, but I keep looking for those good 9.8 candidates on this. This is a book that I think is a second series. This is Space Usagi number 2. I'm not sure if I had every one of the Space Usagis or not. I couldn't remember, but for, I think, $3. Oh, this one was higher. It was $5. I went ahead and picked up that. I love Stan Sakai. I love Usagi. I wasn't a big fan of the Space Usagi, but I still enjoyed it. It just wasn't the same exactly. This is a copy of Spider-Man number 307, the Chameleon cover by Todd McFarlane. And this is a book I literally have sold both copies that I had on my PC. I had two of them graded. One was a 9.8, one was a 9.6. Sold both of them, and of course, here I go. I'm replacing something I sold in my collection, just like this one. This is Marvel Comics Presents 117, and if I'm not mistaken, this was the first time that Spawn, why do I do that? Venom and Wolverine meet. Sam Keith artwork. This is X-Men whoops, I'm making a mess. X-Men X Factor 15. Classic. You've got a great cover by Walt Simonson here. This is where Angel ends up losing his wings. And I know that there was a little bit of spec on this. Now, this is one of those books that I didn't sit there in the store and pull my phone out and look up values if I could get them graded. I know that I had pulled these to Clean and Press, and the copies that I had, and I had 3 or 4, they all had a little bit of defects, whether it was a spine tick or there was some rub in this blue area. And it's just one of those that as I'm looking, I'm going, that's a really nice copy. Let's go ahead and just replace it for your PC. This is a key issue, minor key issue. This is the first appearance of Superboy Prime. This is DC Comics Presents. It's, what is it? 87, issue 87. And this book was only $7, and I've paid more for that at some of the shows that I went to, and I felt like a $10 value in this book was definitely good at a little comic show, and for $8, and it's in really high grade, I went ahead and picked it up here too. Here, let me move some of the books down. And as I'm over there with the X-Men, and as I said, I was looking for the Wonder Woman Adam Hughes covers, I'm thumbing through, and the store is really good because they used dividers and they separated the runs of each of the titles. So, and it was very well labeled, and prices again were really good. And so I was thumbing through those Wonder Woman with Adam Hughes, but then I go back and I'm taking a look at the George Perez covers here. This is issue number 1, and this one I paid I think about $16 for, and it's super clean. The spine looks fantastic. This book right here, I don't have a raw in my PC that's unsigned. I'll put it that way. I've got a George Perez signed copy of this. That's just beautiful. I think he signed it right up in here, kind of at the lower part of the trade dress right there. And I remember that at that time I was using a silver paint pen, a fine tip silver paint pen, and it was really, really nice. And while I'm there, the one time I did pull out the phone to check on some key appearances. This is the first time. This is the new Cheetah number 3. This is the first time that she actually appears as the Cheetah. I think issue, I want to say, is it 7, 9, when you see the human, what is her name? I can't remember. They used it in the movie, and I can't even remember. But this right here was just a fantastic issue. And a little bit of a side note for this character right here and Wonder Woman at the time, this was the late 80s. And back then, DC Comics was doing a Who's Who in the DC Universe, a ongoing title. It was an encyclopedia of every character that DC had done at the time. And Marvel was doing the same thing. But sort of the same idea that if an artist was working on a particular character, or like Superman for John Byrne maybe, or in this case, George Perez was working on Wonder Woman. So he would do all the illustrations for all the characters that would appear in the DC Who's Who of the DC Universe, those books. And if you've never opened up any of these, it really is an encyclopedia. It has these beautiful illustrations, and it would give some stats. I don't know if it had first appearance necessary, what issue or anything, but it did have some vital information about the character, and then it had a written history of that character right there. Well, the artwork for this character, for the Cheetah, I actually own. I bought that from George Perez himself in the late 80s down at Heroes Con when I got a chance to go down with my parents, and Bill Sienkiewicz was there. I don't remember anything else. I just remember Bill Sienkiewicz was there and George Perez. And everybody was swarming around Bill Sienkiewicz. And I literally just walked right up to the table with George Perez. No one there. No one's bothering him. He's just really just sitting there. And he has a stack of artwork. And I don't remember what else was there. I just remember I didn't have a lot of money. And the one thing I could afford was this Who's Who's illustration of the cheetah that was for $25. And I ended up buying that from him. And I know it's gone up a lot in value since then, but it's something that I will never part with unless something drastic comes along. And I'm sure the value has really gone up on something like that. I don't even know how to appraise that, to be honest with you. But it's fun. It's a fun memory for me, and it's a nice piece for the collection and all. But I thought I would share that with you about that right there, about this particular character. That's one of the reasons I picked up this issue. In fact, I think I have this issue signed by George Perez too, as well. He used to come to Baltimore Comic Con almost every year, and it got to the point where you wouldn't even go bother to get him to sign because you'd already gotten so many things signed. And I had a bunch of Teen Titans signed, and I got a bunch of these Wonder Woman issues. And I wasn't worried about key first appearances and getting something signed. I honestly was looking for the best presenting comics that would look good signed. I think that's the way I was approaching it. I mean, a lot of artists that would do that. It wasn't about the issue being a key, it was about the cover being something that would look good signed. So, fun little tidbit right there. Okay, so the last two books that I ended up picking up at this shop were ones that are a little rough, but the price was so cheap that I've been wanting to get these. I've been looking at them at different shows and better conditions. The prices skyrocket, but I wanted to have these in my PC. And for the price, I couldn't pass them up. And they're two issues of Walt Disney's Donald Duck from Dell. This is from the 50s. I don't have any of the stats on me here to tell you when exactly, but they're 10-cent copies. And they're definitely some Carl Barks goodness. This is issue number 408, Donald Duck and the Golden Helmet. And these are comics. This one, let me show you the other one. Donald Duck and the Gilded Man. Let's see if I can put them side by side without causing too much. Well, let's just put that one up front because that's the better condition of the two. Rough copies, but boy, these are great issues. I remember reading these in reprints for years. What great Carl Barks stories. And let me tell you what I paid for these. I mean, this was a whole $10. And this one was a whole $8. I mean, you can't go wrong with a price like that. Just to have a rough copy in your PC, that was fantastic. This shop had so much of this stuff in there. So you definitely could find some Golden Age stuff in here. Now, what I wasn't finding was a lot of Silver Age books from Marvel or DC. There was stuff there. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of Bronze stuff there. And I only scratched the surface. And it was one of those, it wasn't a really big, old back issue type story, even though you could find things like this. But what I found was there was a variety. It hit really good with a lot of the Bronze Age and up. And as I said, the variety, and then the prices. The prices were not outrageous. In fact, I talked with the shop managers, I guess. I'm not sure if they were managers, owners, or whatever. I'll just say managers. And they said, well, kind of what I've heard before, they didn't use these words exactly, but we're not in the business to keep books. We're in the business to sell books. So they're priced to move. And that's what they did. I got a great stack of books here. Really fun. I enjoyed my time at this shop. And I hope you guys, if you're on the road and you're in the Charlottesville, Virginia area, stop by, give these guys a I think you're going to find a lot of stuff. You saw so much other stuff in the store. If you looked at and saw the footage, you saw that they had a beautiful X-Men 266 that pulled that copy out, and they had a Daredevil 131. I took both of those out because the prices were really good. The X-Men 266 was first appearance of Gambit was, I think, $149. It had a defect that I didn't like, and I've got my 9.6, I'm trying for 9.8, so it was definitely not a 9.8, so I put that one back, even if the price was still good. The Daredevil 131 was, first appearance of Bullseye, was $99, or basically $100, and looks great. Now, I could see defects easily, but I couldn't see all the defects, and I had them take it out, and yeah, it was pretty rough. That backside definitely needed some love and some cleaning. The front, both sides you got creases and dog ears and whatever. It's all over the place. It's not as rough, say, as these are, but it's one that I honestly, I didn't want to get that and then have to go through that effort of really cleaning and pressing that. I'd like to find a better copy down the road at some point on that issue, and definitely a better copy of near mint, a minty fresh 266. Eventually, I'll find that again at some point too. But what a great shop, guys! On your next trip down there, stop by, check them out, and then go get some chicken fingers over at Raising Cane's. They did not endorse this video, but I am definitely endorsing them. Okay, so that's it for this comic book shop spotlight. Telegraph Art and Comics. What a great little shop. The next time I'm in Charlotte, I may have to go to the other location. But you guys, give them a shot when you go there. Definitely have some chicken fingers when you go to Raising Cane's for after lunch or before. So definitely great place to go. And if you guys get a chance, go catch some UVA baseball. I love some Cavalier baseball. One of the best teams in college baseball out there for baseball. Just awesome team. I love going down there and watching some ACC baseball all the time. So thank you for watching today. Be sure to tune in on Monday where we go over some other great comics. And remember, guys, every comic has a story.